Please welcome VP of NARS Health, Sloane Scott.
Thanks, everybody. Well, it's a hard act to follow. Those are women who have paved the path for us in all industries, but most importantly tonight in the music industry. So very similar to Marcy, what I thought I would do is kind of walk you through my set of firsts as well. And it's really life by the numbers. So first concert, little did I know that my connection to Nashville would start at the age of 4 when I was at Woodstock and saw Jimi Hendrix for the first time. Now, I have no memory of that, but it turns out that when I did my research around that, and my parents told me the story, Jimmy had 2 original band members that were on the Chitlin circuit here in Nashville. So that's where the Nashville connection started. My first cookbook. At the age of 10, I decided to write my first cookbook, and I figured if I could master cheese souffle, I could pretty much cook about anything that there was to do. Moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and the first time, I went too fast, sorry. First concert I remember, first memory, was the Doobie Brothers live at Blossom Music Center. So in 1977, so you're all guessing my age at this point. At the age of 12, my dad, instead of giving me an allowance, sorry, I went too fast. Wait, I went too fast, sorry. All right, I'll make do. At the age of 12, my dad, instead of giving me an allowance, he taught me how to trade stocks. And he would give me stocks to trade, and we would read the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and the Financial Times, and it was where I sort of learned the value of money and what that meant. So that was really a great experience for me. And then I went on to start my first company. So at the age of 13, I decided that I wanted to go to Europe for the summer of my 16th birthday. And my parents said, well, you can do that, but you're going to have to pay for it. And you're going to have to figure out a way to get yourself there. And the one thing I knew how to do was cook, right? And I wasn't going to babysit because that was not my thing. And I wanted a cash business. And so what I did was I started my own catering company called Dinner. And set up an LLC, cash business, my first bank account, and cooked every night, Friday and Saturday of every weekend for almost 3 years. So there you go. And then I got the really cool experience. I grew up in Northbrook, up in the North Shore in Chicago, and one of my dad's really good friends was a movie producer. This thing's like advancing without me doing anything. And I got the chance to be an extra in a film called Ordinary People. So Robert Redford was filming this movie up in Lake Forest, and it was Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore and Timothy Hutton, and I'm going to really age myself now. I'm in the opening credits in the back with a really unfortunate Dorothy Hamill haircut. Really unfortunate. So if you ever watch that movie and you see a girl in like a Fair Isle green sweater and clogs and a jean skirt, yeah, that's her. I'm me. So at 16, my first grounding, so I snuck out of the house to go see Journey at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago. And I got grounded, and it was totally worth it. And then I went to Europe, and I saw the street that I was named after, so I was named after Sloane Street in London. I also saw my first European concert, which was U2 at Slane Castle in Dublin. And then the story that everybody asks me to tell, which is this one. Along with my catering company, I was a checker in a grocery store in Northbrook. And this woman used to come through my checkout line. And back then, we didn't have the scanners. You had to plug everything in, and I'm left-handed. And so I just used to overcompensate. Shocker. And this woman used to come through my checkout line, and she saw my name on my smock and said, you have just the coolest name. And I hated my name as a kid, so that was not anything I thought that was cool. And this woman said, my husband's a film producer, and I keep telling him he ought to use your name in a film. And I went, okay, this is like advancing without me doing anything. Sorry, guys. I'm like going way ahead. I'm going to put it down. Anyway, I got home, told my dad the story. About an hour later, John Hughes called and said, I'm writing the script for a film, and I'd like to use your daughter's name in a movie. And the rest, they say, is history. So I'm Sloane Peterson from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now I'm going to go back. All right. I tried the traditional college route, and I think you've heard some of this from other folks as well. And I just got bored. It wasn't my thing. And I dropped out of college and put myself through culinary school. And that was the first time that I got to experience what it's like to be a mentor. So my first mentor at the time was an up-and-coming chef by the name of Rick Bayless, who had just opened up a restaurant in Chicago called Frontera Grill. And I was an apprentice chef for him for exactly 30 days. And he said to me, he pulled me aside and he said, you know what, you are really great at what you do, and you're a great chef, and clearly it's a passion, but you belong in front of the house, not in the back of it. And I can't make that happen, but I'm going to call somebody who can. And the guy he called was a gentleman named Rich Melman, who had started a concept restaurant chain in Chicago called Let Us Entertain You. And so I started a chain of restaurants called Ed DeBevick's, and then Shaw's Crab House. So it was a pretty great thing. And then at the age of 23, I was diagnosed for the first time with stage 3 ovarian cancer. Lost all my hair, went through 6 months of chemo and radiation, and kept going. I jumped ship from Lettuce and went to work for Levy Restaurants, and at that time, concept restaurant chains were becoming a big thing. The Hard Rocks, Planet Hollywoods, that kind of thing was spinning up. And Mark and Larry wanted to do a restaurant chain that was concept. So we connected with Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg and launched a chain called Dive, which were yellow submarines that went through a dive sequence. And I went out to LA, opened up the one in Century City, and then went and lived at the Wynn in Vegas for a year and opened up the one in Vegas. And that's when I got the call that said, we've signed this partnership with this company in Nashville called Gaylord Entertainment. And they've taken over this big nightclub downtown, and we need you to go fix it. And that's how I got to Nashville. So I was the AGM of the turnaround team for the Wild Horse Saloon, which was great. And I learned everything about the music business as a result and fell in love with it. It was also the year that I learned about this thing called the World Wide Web, bought my computer and taught myself how to code. And during that time, at the end of Wild Horse, I went and did a bunch of freelance jobs, and one of those jobs was meeting a guy named Mark Montgomery. So I don't know if any of you guys know who that is, but I was very lucky and went and joined the Generation 3 at Echo Music. And it's really where I learned the power of culture and the beauty in failure. And then I got diagnosed again with my second bout of cancer. 6 more months of chemo, lost my hair again. And then the first $1 million fuck up. Because if you're gonna fail, you should just fail really big. So at that time, we did things that were called enhanced CDs, which were these little things that you popped in the side of your computer, and they had content come up and all that stuff. Well, we had Rascal Flatts' album and Kanye West coming out on the same night with it was crazy. And our coding team, we cut a bunch of corners, and our coders ended up hard coding 1 million Kanye West teddy bear icons on Rascal Flatts' Me and My Gang. Not kidding. Then I got the lucky fortune of working with Marcy Allen and leveraging data to secure our first sponsorship and endorsement deal, which was John Mayer and BlackBerry, which was also one of the first device deals that embedded content into a device. So when you bought the BlackBerry Curve, you got the John Mayer album. Built my first mobile fan club with Keith Urban and Clorox. And during that time, Mark exited Echo Music, so it was sold to IAC at Ticketmaster. And I knew that I was only going to hang around for about 18 months, and then Mark was going to call and say, hey, let's do something else. And became the first co-founder and only female co-founder of Flow Thinkery. And then we decided it's time to bring somebody big to town. Again, if you're going to go big, go big. And we brought Google. We spun up a program called Google for Entrepreneurs. And it's now a global program for Google. Then I went on to be the first time ever being a chief marketing officer. We launched a rum brand with Kenny Chesney called Blue Chair Bay Rum. And then the third bout ovarian cancer. And the doctor basically says to me, you got about 10 or 15 years. And I said, well, time to get busy. So I stepped down and was really proud of everything I'd done at Flow and sort of recognized my own limitations. And I started Neris Health with Michael Burcham. So it's kind of the moment when passion and mission collide. So I'd written 32 advanced directives, 3 clinical trials, 1 chronic illness, and now time. There you go. Thanks, everybody.